So how to support PACS as an EA. Again, this presentation would be made as if you were presenting it to educational assistants in the school, even potentially some support staff, but really, really specifically geared towards EAs and classrooms. So we're all in this together.
This was a suggestion from Terry.
It's a really good suggestion. Yeah. The other thing too about this is that we have created ideas, but just like with everything, we're super open to additional ideas too. So if anything's kind of like popping up, let us know. We will add it to this presentation and we will make sure we discuss it. I just realized I don't have a pen by me. Hillary, do you have a pen to take notes with just in case?
Yep, I do.
Sorry, that was me being bad. I had my notebook, but okay, cool. So some questions to consider when we're thinking about how to incorporate EAs into what we're doing. And that being, does your administrator regularly communicate expectations with the EAs? So when we're trying to get EAs on the same page with PACS, is that something your admin is doing or open to doing, letting them know what their expectations are as far as like enforcing positive reinforcement? I'm going to go through this list of questions and then I'm going to stop at the end of the list and see kind of where your stand is at your school. So that's one of the things to consider. Does your administration regularly communicate expectations with the EAs? If there's tension between EAs and teachers, and we know this happens, it happens all the time. We hear about it literally all the time. How are those issues addressed or resolved? For instance, if there's one, and if it's one or the other who's using PACS and they're not seeing eye to eye, how is that addressed at your school? What are the responsibilities for EAs at your school? What are their jobs? And that's an important question to think about, because once we know their responsibilities, we're also going to be able to picture how those responsibilities can be tied with PACS initiatives. Are EAs involved when planning expectations for common areas in the school? So a lot of times EAs are the humans that are manning or taking care of these areas, but are they actually a part of the team that's creating those expectations, right? Oh, doggies. Are EAs present at staff meetings? Is that an expectation at your school that the educational assistants are at staff meetings and are participating in that manner? And then do EAs feel respected at your school? Do EAs feel like they have a voice? Do EAs feel like they're part of the planning? Do EAs feel like when you're getting trainings on school-wide initiatives that they are involved in that? And then a question that's really specific to the time now is, how are they helping out with virtual learning? And while you think and discuss about some of these questions, I am going to take care of my dog situation and I will be right back. And I apologize profusely. I will be literally right back.
And also, you know, as we're framing this, that this presentation is for you all to present to your EAs at your school when school starts again. So, you know, thinking even about asking the EAs these questions as you begin the presentation, so you can really understand where they're at and how they're feeling, you know, as support staff in the school.
Sometimes I think we need to get them away from the teachers to really be honest with these questions. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of the hard part. When they're with those teachers, they don't really open up. But if you got them away from the teachers they work with, they may open up more and want to answer those questions.
Right. Do you think that this is something that would be possible at your school, like that you could have, you know, PACS time with groups of EAs or all the EAs?
Yeah, it's just figuring out when that time would be, when, like me being a classroom teacher. And then before school, a lot of them are on a duty, and after school, they're on like bus duties and stuff like that. So really getting that time with them would be really difficult to figure out.
Yep.
So that would be the hardest part, is the timing.
Great. And I also see a comment from Stella that the EAs are involved in staff meetings. They're required to attend our virtual learning. EA does PACS games and initiates games once in a while. Awesome. Yeah, that's good to know. I think, we're curious also as a team how the EAs are participating at, at these times in the virtual learning, because I think it's probably different for each school. Thank you. And also, like, I think the feeling respected piece is big. I know we've heard a lot of different conflicting things. Some EAs aren't even able to get trained in PACS, and what does that show them, or what does that mean to them? And how are we working together in PACS when sometimes they're not even trained, or they might feel a less sense of respect at school. Kate, are you talking?
Yeah, there we go. And I think these are things too to like consider with your administration too, because if you as a school are trying to really improve behaviors in the cafeteria or bring PACS into the cafeteria, unless the EAs really understand what the expectations are as a staff, it's going to be really hard. So you're going to need admin backup to be like, hey, we're changing some things up in the cafeteria. Those of you who are on duty, here's some things that I want to just kind of remind you of. And I also have my PACS leader here to help you with those. But it's going to be really important to get admin support as much as possible. Just so it's a set expectation school-wide, Okay. I'm sorry, is this a good place to move on, Hill?
Yeah. Thanks everyone for your participation.
Messed up the natural cadence a little bit, but yeah, so good questions to think about. When you're presenting this to your EAs, I don't know if honestly, you could take this slide out, or you could just kind of talk about it and say, hey, how are you feeling with it? As long as you're not going too far down the rabbit hole, but just getting ideas on how you can really make them feel like they're included in these decisions more, because they're a really important part of our staff as well, and they often get overlooked.
Maybe changing the they to you. I was thinking that as we were presenting, maybe it should be that.
And we could do that.
Is this me? Okay, this is me, Kate. I can't remember. Okay. Yeah, and so again, this slide is, as you're presenting to the EAs, just a list of the different kernels. We're going to try to go through all 10, and really what we've done is gone through each kernel and are talking about ways that EAs can support PACS for each one. Go ahead. Okay.
This is you too, Hill.
I know. I'm trying to. Oh, okay. I didn't know if there was more coming on the slide.
But I didn't know if you wanted just to ask the question first. Sorry, this is our first time running through it together, so there's going to be a quick figure it out for y'all.
I'm doing a co-Zoom presentation. Yeah, so we're going to really just start out each kernel wanting feedback from you all about ways that your EAs at your school, for in this case, support PACS vision. Does anyone have anything to share? We're taking notes, and we'll be adding this to the presentation as we go. Is that a hand, Terry?
You're muted.
Okay, so my EA is amazing. We're kind of like the whole mom and dad deal. If the kids will ask me a question, well, what did Miss Michelle say, and vice versa. So I mean, we are hand in hand, and so pretty much everything that we do PACS, we do it together. Now, not everybody's that lucky, though. And so anyway, ideas or experiences, I don't know. It's just that she does everything that I do, she does, and everything she does, I do. So we come up with the vision as a team. Mm-hmm. She's included just like I am, just like the kids are.
Great. Thanks. And also, just as we're going through this, if you feel, Terry, especially Terry, who asked for a presentation like this, if you feel like it's not quite getting to what you were hoping, if you're, just let us know, so that we can adjust to really like be able to serve you guys with these presentations.
Okay. I guess probably, and I don't know where you're going with this. So if I'm jumping ahead, then just tell me to be quiet and be patient. But because when I do my presentation with the TAs or EAs, whatever, anyway, the other teachers are not going to be there. It's just going to be me and the assistants. And so, they're probably going to need stuff like, how do you do it? Which I can do that. I can tell them how.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and on this video too, we have like some, not this video, on this PowerPoint too, we've also included kind of some how-to videos that we're obviously not going to have time to show all right now, but we included those so that you could use it for that purpose. And then a lot of these conversation pieces are definitely something you would still want to have with your EA, like, hey, a reminder, when we're doing PAX Vision, make sure you're a part of that. But it might be something when you do have the chance at like a full staff meeting to also relay eventually to the teachers as well, so that like both sides of the picture come together.
Okay.
So
okay. Yeah, go ahead, load everything.
Okay.
Yeah, so these are some of the ideas we were thinking as ways that EAs can support teachers in class. So as Terry was saying, definitely important for EAs to be part of class discussions when creating the PAX vision. Obviously, they're a huge part of the class. They're, a member just the same as teacher and the kids, needing to add to the vision along with everyone, and also, creates the same expectation among, maybe the two adults in the room, or maybe there's more. We also were thinking of some ideas that EAs can bring students to the vision for one-on-one discussions. Maybe, something that's not going so well, how can the EA help, the kids talk about what would a PAX leader do in this situation? Some of us saw in the video that we watched in the couple calls before about PAX vision, even kinder teachers who have the pictures up on their vision. There's a great example about going down for nap time, and some of the kids couldn't quite, know what to do in that time. So they actually had the kids go over to the vision and point to what a PAX leader would do in that situation to help, reframe the situation and, really show them what PAX would be. So that's a great thing that EAs can do with individual students or individual or small groups. What did we say? Oh, and also, depending on what the EAs are responsible for, working with groups of students or the whole class around specific visions. So we're going on a field trip. Maybe the EA is in charge of a specific group, or maybe he or she are taking them somewhere, talking about what's PAX during this particular field trip, what are PAX hands and feet doing. Can do that individually or as a support to the teacher. Same walking in lines, pick up from recess. A lot of this goes along with school-wide PAX supports that we've talked about in the past as well. And again, the ever important predict, monitor, reflect. So, always having EAs involved in that along with the teachers before you're doing anything. You're helping the kids recall in their brains what they're doing before they're doing. They're able to give so much monitoring, praise, especially of the PAX that's going on. And then, as you all know, the quick reflection after whatever they're doing.
And Terry, if you're presenting this to EAs, I would, along with this, I would just kind of like include a quick example of what that might sound like. Like, hey, let me give you an example of like when we're doing a lineup, how you could do a really quick kind of like verbal vision, going over the expectations and asking the students to share them back. So if you're presenting it, I would just like role play it out a little bit too.
And then got some quick pictures. This is one of my favorite living visions. I believe it's from Aztec. I think Tracy's on the call. It's from your school. But I just loved it because it, the teacher was like, oh, it's just so messy. But I just love it because it shows that they're adding actively and crossing things out. And then again, the picture picture visions, and we were trying to give, you know, these as examples to show to EAs as well, different types of visions you can do.
Mm-hmm. And also just, I think, you know, letting the EAs know that if there's something that they're hearing in conversations that they want to put up on the vision too, that they also have the authority to add to the vision, right? It's not just the teacher who can write things up there, that you are both the adults in the classroom, and those things can be added from either of you. This is my slide. This is I'm obsessed with this slide. I'm not going to go through it. This is just added in. You guys know what this is. I like harp on this all the time because it's so important, but I added this just so you can go over it with the EAs, right? This really important, and one of the most important pieces that you can do to support as an EA is the predict, monitor, and reflect piece, right? Especially with the monitoring too, we're really trying to move towards having more positive reinforcement in the schools, and that's something that's important. Were you going to say something, Terry?
Yeah, we really, the 5 to 1.
Yeah.
The 5 positives to 1. I mean, that's, our administrator has preached that and preached that and preached that and preached that all
Totally.
year.
And I'll talk to some like EAs that are like, you know, who have been kind of like placed into a category from their peers of being like the yellers or the screamers. And I just have had like conversations with them, not to make them feel bad, but just even reminding them too that if admin is specifically looking for those 5 to 1 ratios, in addition to it being like a positive thing for the kiddos, and making us feel happier ultimately at the end of the day, the other thing is it's going to look better on your reflection and on your own evaluation. So just from like even a professional standpoint, if that's like kind of something that the admin is putting into effect as, hey, here's what I'm looking for when I'm doing your evaluations, it's just a good thing to kind of have in your tool belt as well. So just another way to come across that conversation. So I don't know if we're gonna watch this whole thing, but we included this video just because, just like Terry said, it like a lot of people are moving towards that 5 to 1. Maybe some people don't fully understand what positive reinforcement is. This is just kind of like a brief cutesy little cartoon video. I'm gonna start it and just kind of see how much of the important parts we can get across in it.
Positive reinforcement is a technique used to improve behavior. It works with children in the classroom or at home, especially kids on the autism spectrum and with behavior problems. Dog training uses positive reinforcement. You say, sit, and the dog sits. Then you give it a treat. The reward motivates the dog to sit on command to earn another treat. Positive reinforcement exists in the natural world. If you are thirsty and you take a drink of water, you feel satisfied, and you will probably take a drink the next time you feel thirst. Any action that gives you a positive result will inspire you to repeat it. It is easier to notice annoying, rude, distracting, or inattentive behavior. We usually reprimand bad conduct. Punishment can be the quickest way to stop a bad behavior, but the effect doesn't last. Punishment can backfire, as when a child misbehaves to gain attention. However, when you encourage desired behaviors, they tend to happen again and again. The most effective rewards are adult attention, time, and verbal appreciation. Frequent and consistent positive feedback works best. Repeating the reward strengthens good behavior. A good standard is to give 5 positive reinforcements for each correction. Rewards can be simple, such as a smile, a nod, or saying thank you. For instance, you can acknowledge a child for sitting quietly, raising her hand, or other good behaviors 5 times. If the child then does something bad, like breaking a glass, you can say, please remember to be careful. Then you start the cycle of 5 positive reinforcements again. Positive reinforcement can work in many situations, with workers, teenagers, toddlers, and even on yourself. When starting a new exercise routine, give yourself a reward right after you work out. Positive reinforcement.
That's my favorite piece. Okay, I'll just work it out. Let's eat some chocolate. You guys get the point. There's only a few seconds left. It's a good video. It's just the basics. And just a reminder too that like it's easy to jump to the punishment, but really the long-term effects aren't as effective as positive reinforcements, right? And I've shown it time and time again in classrooms when I'm working with teachers and EAs. I can especially think about this pre-K class I was with. They're adorable. They're 3 and 4 years old. And there's this one kid who was not helping with cleanup. So they were saying, hey, get to clean up. But what I showed them and we switched towards is we were giving positive praise to the kids who were cleaning up. And it was amazing how he switched over. And the more praise that we were giving him specifically for the help that he was giving, the more that he was helping out. So again, some things, conversations to have with your EAs, and a video if that's helpful to you. I just wanted to end on the chocolate piece. So and also in the video, they say, hey, say thank you. Those are great. But when you're with your EAs, reminding them that we want to make those positive reinforcement statements as specific as possible. So the students are really internalizing what they're doing correctly or what they're doing well. So they're able to do that again in the future, right? I could have told that kid, thank you. But when I was like, wow, I really appreciate how you're walking to put the toy truck in the box. Great job, right? Then he was able to do that with a block. I can't even remember the toys that were there, but you get the point. So same thing with PAX leaders. Just like any experiences or ideas that surround this. I know that we have all 10 kernels in here, and I don't want to make it feel like we're rushing through it, but just a little piece of just a note in advance that if we don't get through all 10 of these today, they're all on here. And same thing, if you're presenting this to your EAs, you don't necessarily have to do all 10 kernels at once. You could break it into like 5 kernels or 3 kernels or so just a little heads up. So
yeah, once you download our presentations, you're welcome to edit them however fits you in your school.
Right. So any ideas or experiences, or just generally, do you hear EAs on a regular basis using that verbiage, PAX leader? Raise your hand if you, or I guess there's a lot of people on share screen, or not share screen. Okay, so I'm not seeing a ton of hands, and that's okay. But that would be a great starting point with EAs, is like even just using that language of PAX leaders is really going to spread that idea of leadership throughout the school. I don't want to cut people off with ideas, so if you do have any, throw them in the chat box or just cut me off and throw them out here verbally as well, no problem. But some of the ideas that we came up with were, just calling the students PAX leaders across the school, in the cafeteria, in the playground, in the hallways, at drop off and pickup. It doesn't necessarily need to be the kids only that you're working with in the classroom. If you're a kinder EA and you see a 6th grader hold open the door for Mr. Jenkins, the janitor, because he has his hand full of trash bags, great. Make sure you're letting him know, hey, thanks for being such a PAX leader. That was really awesome that you chose to do something that's helpful for someone else at the school, right? And EAs can use this positive language wherever they see it. And in a lot of schools, they're in those areas more than we are as classroom teachers, or depending on your role. So yeah, the cafeteria, playground, so on and so forth. So again, EAs want to give specific praise when behaviors are observed. Awesome. So some examples. I appreciate all the PAX leaders who are raising their hands. This would be in class. They can support the teacher. The teacher's up talking, giving a lesson on whatnot, and the EA can chime in just something simple like that. Wow, really appreciate everyone I see right now who's facing the board with their hand up, whatever it might be. Or Destiny did such a great job of clearing her tray in the lunch line. Thank you, Destiny, for being a PAX leader. Jose said, thank you to the teacher. What a PAX leader for using positive language. So just examples of the EAs to incorporate that PAX leader verbiage into their daily routines. Also, kind of going back to the vision, but asking students to reflect on what would a PAX leader do in certain situations or individually when a spleem occurs. So, before something starts, if the substitute's there, hey, what would a PAX leader do today when we have our sub here? Or if a kid is kind of misbehaving, again, we're not into the public shaming, but kind of pulling that kid aside and having a conversation. It seems like you're having a hard day. I know that math can be difficult, but what would a PAX leader do right now? And how can I support you in that, right? So EA are really positive to have in the classroom because they have that ability to kind of pull one-on-one and have those conversations if they are encouraged to do so.
Yeah, and I just feel like this question is it's such an important way to, really ingrain in kids' minds. So in every situation they're thinking about before they spleem or before they don't know how to act, they're thinking, what would a PAX leader do in this situation? We were actually at, I forget which school in CCSD, Judy Nelson maybe? No, OHO. We were at OHO Elementary, and the principal at the end of the training, she actually stood up with the whole staff there and said, anytime there's an issue with the spleen, this is what I want every single staff to ask the kids. And, instead of scolding, instead of yelling, just, very neutral. What would a PAX leader do in this situation? And I just love that story and love to share it with everyone.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So, here's just some cute pictures. I know sometimes you have people that have like incredibly creative EAs. And so just having an EA help create bulletin boards in the hallways for PAX leaders, having EAs kind of put something together like the Take a PAX Leader Pledge we saw that's really cute. So just those kind of like fun little options that can help incorporate EA's creativity and talents.
Okay. So next we have PAX Quiet. So one of my favorite little drawings from Chaparral Elementary in Deming, where the little kid doing a PAX Quiet with a book on his hat. Quickly, if anyone has anything to share about experiences with EAs supporting PAX Quiet, using it in any ways, we'd love to hear from you.
Our EAs have the lunch duty, and I try to get them, okay, guys, use that harmonica instead of hollering at people. Well, then they went to using the harmonica as a dismissal. Okay, when I blow the harmonica, this table gets to stand up, and it wasn't used correctly. And so I'm excited to see what you guys have on here, so I can figure out how to, kind of reverse it or get it back to the way that it's supposed to be whenever I meet with these people, because some of these people I have to meet with, this is an issue. It's like, well, what do you want me to do? I'm using the harmonica. Yeah, but you're not using it right. I mean, yes, you're using it, but you're using it to tell this table to stand up. You're not having the entire room get quiet. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see what y'all got for me.
Great. Anyone else? Okay, well, we will answer that question in a minute. But Kate, if you want to throw the ideas on here. Okay. So, as you'll probably see on every single slide, the most important thing with PAX Quiet is that EAs and teachers are on the same page. So I think that really addresses Terry's question of how is the harmonica used and what is it used for? Harmonicas, as you all know, are used as a cue to get the student's attention because you have something really important to say. So, in really explaining to the EAs, it's not to be used every 5 minutes because then the kids start to get immune to it. There can be other ways, especially in the cafeteria, that you can have your voice heard. For example, we've talked about PAX in the cafeteria and using microphones, if that's possible, to be able to blow the harmonica, but then be able to talk and have your voice heard versus having to blow it every couple minutes, and that just is not effective. Also, again, like taking, maybe some students are struggling with PAX Quiet, being able to have that support where the EAs can go, work with the small group, remind them what's on the PAX Quiet poster and practice, maybe some extra practice. Or I know sometimes Paxis recommends that their trainings, if kids can't quite get PAX Quiet in the classroom, maybe they stay for a couple extra minutes at recess or something to practice, to really, find out, what's preventing those students from doing the PAX Quiet or from, being PAX leaders, that kernel. Let's see. Yep, again, practicing PAX Quiet with the students. And also, a great support they also talk a lot at the training, you know, if there are kids who just, you know, aren't doing PAX quiet, you can go over right before you're going to blow the harmonica and let them know, give them a little heads up. I'm going to blow the harmonica in 2 seconds. I really want to see, you know, you doing the PAX quiet that we've practiced, and you know, and then reinforcing that, or that kid becoming a hero when they do PAX quiet correctly. So being able to go over and stand near them, or, you know, just work with people as needed. Great. Seeing a comment. Modeling PAX quiet with your EA is a great reminder to help those who are struggling. Absolutely. Okay. So, you know, I think Kate's just scrolling through some pictures that we had, and then, you know, again, a reminder of that poster that the teachers have that is up in the classrooms, that is such a crucial tool to really being crystal clear with the kids about what is expected from PAX quiet. I think a lot of times we just forget. We just might blow the harmonica and expect that they know all the 4 steps to do. But as much as you can refer to that poster as you're teaching the kids what this harmonica means, and then, you know, having it up as a reminder for them to look at if they maybe forget one of the steps that they're supposed to do. We actually found some modeling videos that were posted by, they were posted by someone at Paxis about some of the kernels. So we wanted to include those links if you we're wanting to share some of this with the EAs as well during your presentation. You can just click on the link. It's not YouTube, so we couldn't get the actual video to be in the presentation. And Kate, do we want to share this little lunchroom discussion, or should we just keep going?
I think just because like the time is so short, and like this, like, you know, I don't want to rush through it for you all, but all these resources are available on here. But literally this presentation encompasses all 10 kernels. So
yep, we just really went through the internet, you know, what's ready available to anyone who's searching on YouTube, searching for these kernels, and we tried to pull some of the best resources for you all to use as you're sharing with people.
Yeah. And then, and same thing with Granny's Wacky Prizes. I don't know how active the EAs at your school are in doing Granny's Wacky Prizes, or, you know, either leading them or whatnot, or how they're utilizing them. But it's something important to talk about with the EAs too, is that they are more than welcome to reward Granny's Wacky Prizes when they see things positively happening. It doesn't have to be after a good behavior game. If you are walking a class back from lunch and they are spectacular PAX leaders, then that's a great time to give them a Granny's Wacky Prize. So along with that, how can we kind of like help and coach them with some of the prizes that might be good in transitional times like that? So the ideas we put on here are basically just the EA should participate with the teacher and students when the Granny Wacky Prizes are happening in the classroom. So just like how we ask the teachers to be a part of whatever the silly thing is that we're doing, we also want the EAs to do that so that they're part of that culture. If it's freeze dance, get on up there and shake your groove thing, right? It's what we really want the EAs to be a part of that. I think it's really important. So it's also helpful for EAs to know Granny's Wacky Prizes that can be used during transition times, like lining up, picking up students from recess, the cafeteria, etc. So just some Granny's Wacky Prize ideas are like, you know, the one you hear a lot of, like they lined up well, they jump up and hit the door frame on the way out to lunch. Again, after having the conversation about what are the expectations as soon as we're back in the hallway. Oh, you're great. Definitely, we're not going to continue jumping all the way down the hallway. We're going to be in line. Thank you for sharing, right? So still kind of building that into their practice. Something like an air high five, like, oh my gosh, this is the class I get to pick up. Look how amazing. Okay, quick Granny's Wacky Prize. Air high five to Miss, you know, Jelly Beans class. Like, great job, you know, and it's just fun things that are quick. Silent disco party in line. Wow, I got the hugest compliment from the person on duty that every single person in this class was being really respectful at recess playing Foursquare. So on the way back to class, we're going to do a silent disco in line on the way back to class, right? Like train, conga line, just kind of things like that that are easy to do in transitional times. Giggle Fest, picking them up from recess. Oh, let's do a Giggle Fest real quick before we go inside. Ah, you know. Fun ones that are quick and really just still like encourage kids to be doing those positives, right? Give them Dopamine boost.
Kate, I love how you act out the prizes. It's so great. And also, you know, we listed some of these prizes on here just so you can really encourage the EAs to have these a couple, you know, 2 to 3, 4 prizes just in their mind so that they can really spontaneously reward the kids. So that was our intention in listing some of these.
Yes, totally. Come on. Oh gosh, I just like went through all 3 of them real fast. So just some pictures. You know, this one's almost like, you know, they're getting picked up from somewhere. They could do rock, paper, scissors, something like that. This one might be like when they got back in the line from classroom, they can do, I'm actually not quite sure what they're doing there, but it looks fun and they're smiling.
It's like they're dancing.
Yeah, it looks, it almost kind of looks like Macarena or Hokey Pokey something, because it looks so like organized. But yeah, so something fun. Oh wow, we did such a great job on the way back walking from lunch. As soon as we get in the doorway, everyone go lay down and do a 30-second nap. So again, just like kind of pictures you can share with EAs. October themed Granny's Wacky Prize, have them walk like a zombie out of the door, or, you know, so things like that are fun. You could do it very seasonal too. Okay, great. Let's like gobble like a turkey, you know, let's walk like Santa, whatever EAs want to do. This video, a lot of screaming, but it's cute. So basically this class did something well at recess, and as soon as they came back to class, they were able to earn the prize of acting like a baby. Again, I'm not going to share this right now just because of time, and also because literally they're like, yeah! And you can save that for your EAs, but it's really cute. So just some ideas to share with people at your school.
And also really like the more modeling that you can show, you know, teachers, EAs with some of these videos of how they actually work, the better. So that's why we included so many in here.
Oh, sorry, that all popped up though.
That's fine. Okay, beat the timer. Any experiences you want to share with EAs and beat the timer thus far? Okay, so again, we're going to see just a lot of repetition in some of our ideas, but, you know, really thinking of the EAs as a support to the teacher, as a support in the classroom, being able to have some of that extra flexibility to use proximity and positive reinforcement during beat the timer. So, you know, after you've predicted and reviewed, you know, maybe again helping some of the kids who might be struggling, reminding them, using beat the timer in small groups. So if you're you know, doing stations, maybe, you know, each group has a beat the timer for tasks that they're doing. Being able to share that with them as ways they can help out, and also practice how beat the timer works, how the prediction piece works, you know, how you get really excited when the kids have done it, and how you're also sharing the results with the students when they have beat the timer. Again, a great time to use beat the timer that the EAs might be encountering more is picking up the students from recess. Certain activities in the cafeteria that could be, you know, fun ways to integrate that. Walking in the hallways, you know, how do you talk with the kids and predicting about beating the timer in the hallway without running? You know, how do you practice what a normal paced walking looks like in the hallway? Not too slow, not too fast. I think that's a great one for EAs to do. And also the EAs can do the lineup. Even we've seen like a lot of teachers and a lot of EAs put, you know, footprints on the floor so that it really makes the process easier. The kids aren't like pushing each other, trying to fight for where they're standing in line. That can really, really help. And also, you know, just common areas, cleanup time. That's one of the best times to use beat the timer. Anything to add, Kate?
No, I think it's good. Just, again, to just depending on how involved your EAs are going to be, if you are doing something like really focusing on cafeteria, again, the conversation it can't just be like a mad dash, but like, hey, we've been kind of timing you for the first week of school. It's taking us about 10 to 15 minutes to get all the trays cleared off. Let's just brainstorm. Like, I'm going to ask your teachers to brainstorm with you what we can do to, as a full cafeteria, make that time transition go quicker. And if we beat that timer as an entire cafeteria, we're going to be able to earn a Granny's Wacky Prize. So just, even thinking about it on a bigger scale for people who are on certain duties.
Right. And also, just as we're talking, remembering that sometimes it's not always the time getting shorter and shorter. Sometimes you've hit the max of what you can do, what's possible in a certain amount of time, and then it can become, under 15 seconds, so that every time they can see if they can actually beat the timer under 15 seconds, so they don't have to run or they don't have to do unsafe things in order to beat it. We lost the presentation. Did we lose Kate? Yep, okay. Maybe back on, but I will try to pull it up.
Well, while y'all are doing that, I've figured out, I know what I'm going to have to do next, because my TAs, well, I say my TAs, they're really not mine. The TAs, they're going to be all about doing a Zoom call because Coach Johnson said to, right now while we're all stuck in the house. But the next thing I'm going to have to do is get their teachers on board. I mean, really on board. Because if these guys are all gung-ho, because listening to you guys, it just gets me all excited. And then I'm like, ugh, crap, I don't even have a classroom now, that I can just go do it. Anyway. So,
Yeah.
I think I'm going to get them real excited about it, but then I'm going to have to get their teachers excited about it again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really the two-way communication that we've talked about. Yes, you can get the EAs on board. Yes, you can get the teachers.
I can do it. Just hide and watch. I'll do it.
Well, keep us posted.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see. You guys, can you all see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Kate just sent me a text that her computer died, so she'll be back on in a couple minutes whenever it comes back online. Let's see, let me go to find present. I can never remember. Does anyone see present? Oh.
Right there. Good job.
Thanks.
All right, I'm going to mute myself just so.
Sorry, y'all. Sorry, that was my bad.
Hi.
I went outside to hide from my dogs and my computer was zoomed out and decided to die on me, but I'm back.
Okay, well, I pulled it up, so
Cool.
we'll just switch who's running the thing.
Okay, yeah. So pack sticks for EAs. So they can. So sometimes EAs will be, as you know, responsible for small groups. So if that seems like something that might be helpful for your EAs, is to have the sticks for small group volunteer and participation. I've used sticks before too. It was a different set of sticks, obviously, but I've used sticks too just for if I'm doing centers, I'll put their names on a popsicle stick at the center they're supposed to be into, so EAs can help with something like that, like setting up who should be in what center for the day, and that way the students just know where they're starting, and then they kind of rotate from there. So EAs can pull pack sticks to choose students to be helpful for certain tasks. So if the EA is helping with things like passing out snacks, they might say, hey, I need a couple helpers today. Can Mary and Billy help me out? And then EAs could also have, on a bigger scale again too, if we're talking about EAs being on duty, EAs could have a whole class pack sticks for school-wide packs. So for instance, They could have, if they're on a lunch duty, they could have one stick for Miss Johnson's class, one stick for Mr. Ruiz's class, one stick for, whomever. And they might ask to do things like, okay, today I'm going to ask Mr. Ruiz's class to help with X, Y, and Z. Or today, Miss Otero's class gets to line up first, right? So they having whole group sticks for something like that. Or in assembly, y'all, we're doing our first school assembly. Is there any, I need a class who can model what PAX Quiet looks like. So, Mr. I'm losing track of name. Mr. Kaufman, Mr. Kaufman's class, can you model for us what that would look like, right? So having basically like sticks that are like for classrooms that EAs or whoever is in charge of a situation like that could utilize. Yeah.
Oh, look, speaking of Kaufman.
I put your name on there. So Mrs. Kaufman or Mrs. Kaufman. So yeah, just showing them that they also can use if they've been PAX trained, they can have sticks on their phone. So if they're, if they're on lunch duty, they don't necessarily want to have physical sticks with them, they can use it on their phone as well, if that's something that your school allows, because I know some schools have different rules on that. And then a Vimeo video, which shows how to model plastics or PAX sticks. So just again, a video you can share with your EAs.
Awesome. So Kate, as you were talking, I was asking people if they had any kernels they really wanted to see, since we had 5 minutes left.
Good question.
So we had we had a request for GBG, I think. Let's see.
Yeah, the last one.
We'll skip over hands and feet. Okay, not okay. Oh, I kind of want to show you guys okay, not okay real quick though.
Yeah, we can do game real quick too.
Yeah. So this is just like such a simple but super powerful thing that EAs can do, trained or untrained. And I know we've talked about this a little bit, but literally just cutting the okay, not okay card in half and taking out the not okay piece. So you just have the green, and such a big part of what they're doing is just reinforcing all the PACs that they see. And it's such a great tool to really train anyone in positive reinforcement, because you're not seeing the spleens, you're just reinforcing what's going well. And then of course I want to share with you my photography of the week. So you could all see me showing you how to do the card, and just that was just a little fun thing that we were doing as we were preparing this. Okay.
I think it's common areas, just having the okay side is like really awesome. And the other picture on here is again something maybe EAs might want to help with, but I love it because it was PACS related expectations with okay or not okay that were specific to like reading centers. So that might be something that EAs can also help. Hey, over here we're going to do some like vowel sounds in this station. What are some things that will be acceptable at this station? Things that are okay, some things we want to avoid.
Yeah, and I also just want to point out how just visually on that poster, the green part is like 2/3 and the red part is 1/3. So it really is just like a visual color reminder to focus more on the green, more on the spleens than on the red.
And that one's for littles too. So they have pictures, and like the littles basically just like pick the behavior that they want to see exemplified, and they put it like up on the board for that day. So it's like sit up straight. You can see it if you look at it closer up. Will you click on the game one, Hill? How much time?
Oh yeah, I forgot I'm doing that.
So the last thing about the game, it's basically just like having them jump in and be able to help. So EAs can help lead prediction discussions before a good behavior game is played, especially if you're doing something like a good behavior game during centers, right? You might need to get specific on what each center might look like. They can also help record spleens during the good behavior game. They can, and this is the most important one, I personally think, is one thing that's so important during the games is that we're still doing positive reinforcement while it's happening. So one thing that could be really helpful to have the EAs do is just walk around with that green side of the card, and the students that they see doing the expectations that were discussed, they're pointing that out, like, wow, great job. I can see green team. They are all looking at their book, their voices are off, great job, or whatever the expectations are, right? If it's silent reading, a lot of times you can just point to the green. But
And also, just as you all know, playing the GBG can be a lot of steps for one person to do. So having an EA in the room is super helpful. That way teachers can teach. They don't have to go run to the board and write down a spleen. A lot of times you'll see us when we're modeling, we're counting spleens and the teacher's teaching or something like that. You can do it all, but again, it's such really helpful support during the games.
Can I interrupt for a second? I know we're short on time. I don't even know what time it is. I can't find the clock. But anyway, something that I did for good behavior games, in my classes, I got a cup, and it's in their caddy and with clothespins, and which I learned this from somebody. I didn't come up with this on my own, but and then I designated a kid at the table. You're going to be my spleen counter. And so I didn't ever have to leave the board from what I was doing. I could just say spleen blue table. Then little Johnny, who was my spleen counter, would get that clothespin, throw it in the cup. And if there were no clothespins still around the cup, then they lost the game. But does that make sense?
That's awesome. We often recommend that. You can have like a piece of paper that you fold and you have number of spleens on it. The kids move the paper clip. If you get one spleen, you have a spleen counter at the table. I love your idea of having them put the paper clip, or not the paper clips, the clothespins inside.
Just a red solo cup. And my last thing, like my assistant, like when we're playing the good behavior game, she'll never call out a spleen, because and I think I may have taught her that if she's doing the good behavior game, then she's the spleen. She's got to pay attention to it all, because, it's hard for me to say, oh, well, you got a spleen here, when I don't even know what they did.
Right.
Does that make sense? Because then I can't go back and reflect on it, because I don't know. That's just.
And I would say that's the same thing. If you're the teacher and you're the one who's leading the good behavior game, you're calling the spleens. The only thing that the EA might want to help with is like actually visually marking them. But I would say whoever is calling the spleens, just have it be one person. One person can be on spleen duty and the other person can be on positive reinforcement duty. And that can just kind of be the breakup. Hey, today I'm going to walk around with the green card and talk and positively reinforce the good things I'm saying. And you an eye on spleens. But I think that's 100% correct. I would not have two people counting spleens at the same time.
All right. I just wanted to make sure that I was understanding correctly. Thank you.
But like, to me, on the other hand, if both teachers are there and they're reviewing what spleens are and you're on the same page, I think that might be okay to be able to both call spleens.
Yeah.
If there's more eyes on the kids.
Yeah, I agree. Then if you got the teachers that are grumpy and then grumpier.
Yep. Right.
Then, but yeah, I agree if we're all on the same page.
Yeah, because that's been like my experiences being in classrooms. Sometimes the teacher will want me to observe a game, but they've forgotten to set the expectations, maybe because they've played it so many times or the kids already know. But my biggest feedback is always like, I have no idea what the expectations are. I'm sure the kids probably don't either. So just remembering that piece is so important.
Right.
And I know that we're short on time. I think, if you and your EA are completely in sync, maybe that's okay. But I still kind of personally, again, this is my personal opinion, like the idea of only one spleen counter, because then it also doesn't feel like there's two adults like trying to find the bad, like it's like where it's like we're both specifically looking for, maybe that's just me being overly sensitive, but I think it just depends.
People call me overly sensitive.
But yeah.
Yeah, and I think what you're seeing in this discussion is it's really you working with your EA and deciding what you all feel comfortable with, what works for your classroom and your system, as you're thinking through what PACS is and how it works.
Yeah. Teamwork makes the dream work.
All right, so we've arrived at the end of our presentation. Skipped a couple. But yeah, again, as Terry asked for this and we were able to create it, if you all have any other questions, topics, please share them with us. If you're wanting to share this with your EAs and wanting to practice with one of us, or however we can support.